Today on Elite Traveller TV, I'm speaking with Ashley Palmer-Watts at dinner by Heston Blumenthal at the Mandarin Oriental. Ashley, congratulations on receiving your second Michelin star for dinner. How does it feel?
Pretty amazing. It's still sinking in, so yeah, it sounds strange when you say it, but yeah, it's going to take some getting used to.
And the restaurant is obviously still quite young. How have you achieved this level of success in such a short amount of time?
Well, we've been open just over 2.5 years, but I think that we started this project right from the word go, so everything was built to do what we were doing. We didn't take over an old building and try and run a restaurant in it and that kind of thing. So I think careful planning, attention to detail, and just a lot of hard work.
And what about on a personal note? You've been in the industry for 2 decades now. Can you tell us about your own journey from kind of starting out as a 13-year-old in Dorset to where you are today?
22 years ago, I started working and getting myself exposed into kitchens. Very different from now. I could never have dreamt that I would have even gone to the Fat Duck, let alone from the Fat Duck then on to here and working for Heston. But no, it's been a massive journey. And even back in the old days in the Fat Duck, you know, Heston used to say to me, you know, well done, keep going, thanks very much. It was incredibly hard. And he would say, look, one day it will pay off. And yeah, it's certainly lots and lots of hard work, and it's really, we've gone places that I never thought. We both never thought we would be doing this. So. And
you had a special interest in the Fat Duck from quite early on. Why was that?
I don't know. I read about Heston and about this guy who was self-taught. He bought a derelict pub in Bray. It was around the corner from the Roux Brothers place, the Waterside. I went there for my birthday, for my 20th birthday, with quite a bit older friends than myself. And from that moment, I just had to work there. I can't explain why, I just had to go. So I went and worked for a couple of weeks and then wrote to him and said, look, it's the only place I want to work. I don't want to work anywhere else. And I waited about 4 months for a job and finally started, and here we are.
I read somewhere that he said for you to call him every day until he had a job for you.
In the mornings, I used to work on an organic watercress farm in the next valley, and then at 1 o'clock I used to start in the restaurant. And the restaurant was being sold and there was a job coming, but because there was 5 in the kitchen, so they had no extra money for anything. It was really tight. He said, call me every day, and when a position becomes available, you know, it's yours. So I used to get really, really nervous, phone him upstairs in the office, he wouldn't be there. They'd say, try down in the kitchen, so he'd phone to the kitchen. No, oh, he's just popped up to the office. And so we played sort of cat and mouse for a while, but yeah, eventually got in.
And looking back to those early days as a young chef, what advice would you give yourself?
To all young chefs, I would say learn as much as you can, read books, read magazines, look at chefs' websites, read about chefs, read about the journeys that they've been on. Take your time. It's not a race. It takes years and years and years to build knowledge up, and I think sometimes people progress too quickly or are in too much of a hurry to progress, that they're then going to be a little bit shallow when it comes to knowledge and inspiring others. So I would say take your time. It's about tasting the food as you go. So many people don't taste what they're cooking, and have fun. What
do you think was the hardest time in your career so far?
I would say probably the early days at the Fat Duck were incredibly hard. You know, we were doing extreme hours. It's very different now, and I'd like to think we paved the way for, you know, always every year getting, you know, a much more enjoyable, much easier, much more organised working environment. Probably the recent one would be opening here. That was incredibly challenging due to the sort of mental pressure. Managing expectation, everyone was watching, and of course, you know, the kitchen's open, so if things go wrong, people are watching, and it felt like people were watching for the first month, just constantly looking at you.
A lot of pressure.
That was pretty hard.
Yeah. So looking back now, having achieved these 2 Michelin stars and 2 decades of being in the industry, what would you say you're most proud of?
I love everything about, obviously, what we do. But one of the most rewarding things is watching people come up through the kitchen. You know, I have people here from my time at the Fat Duck that were, you know, chef de parties when I was head chef. They're now my sous chefs here. And to see the progression in a young chef come up to, you know, approaching 28, 30 now, and being able to run the past when I'm not here, I look at that as one of the best things, is having somebody do something as well as you want them to do it. I think that's probably the most rewarding thing.
What values do you instill in them?
Values in our kitchen is honesty, integrity, attention to detail, must be very driven, must be respectful of others as well. You know, we speak to people how we'd like to be spoken to.
And do you think those traits make a Michelin chef, or is there anything else you could add?
I think everyone has their different style. There's many ways of running a kitchen. This is just our style. It works for us. We like that way of working, and I want everyone to come here and feel like they're learning, they're enjoying it, they're having a good time, they're working in a great team. And you know, when you get those things right, the end result will be as good as it can be.
Great. Well, thank you very much for speaking with us today.
No worries.